Why you look so depressed?
Man, we blew a 20-something point lead to Houston.
Man, y'all were close. I'm not that good though.
Don't worry. Why are y'all so scared to play us for in football?
Man, y'all scared to play us.
What's behind your back?
GBO. Ball's #1. We're about to beat Alabama this week.
Nah, Bryce Young's going to throw over 200 yards, going to run a ball for 150. He'll be the high. All right, guys. My first point this week on the JS Report, I have a special world champion, Matthew Dallas from Briarcrest. Matthew, thank you for coming out here.
Thank you for having me.
Man, how does it feel to be a world champion at the 18-year-old bracket?
Feels pretty good. It was an experience we'll never really forget.
Who, I know you pitched, and did you pitch in starting or middle relief or relief?
Yeah, I started and ended up starting the gold medal game.
Who was that against?
Chinese Taipei.
Some good batters over there, huh?
Yeah, they were. It was really hard.
Man, I tell people all the time, I've been watching you over the last couple of years. You're up to the challenge no matter who y'all play. You could be, like you just talked about, playing Chinese, and you struck out some batters there. And who was y'all's toughest competition in that World Classic?
For sure Chinese Taipei. They ended up beating us a few games before that, so it was for sure them. They're the hardest team down there.
Let's go to your Briarcrest days. I'll get permission this week to talk to you about your Briarcrest days. How did it feel to be a Saint the last couple of years?
Man, it's felt really good. Ever since sophomore year, they've kind of taken me in, and they've been nothing but love and family to me.
Your probably best pitching game as basically a Saint.
Arlington, my sophomore year, I threw no hitter against them.
That's awesome right there.
Yeah.
You know, who's y'all's toughest game that you look forward to every year?
Christian Brothers. It's always very chippy and very low scoring game. So.
Yeah, most scores are like 1-0, 2-1. You're no hitter.
That's usually how it is.
And are you I ask people all the time, are you in favor on how y'all do your district, like the best out of 3, whatnot?
No, I think I like it. I like playing the region games and getting seeded, then going to the region game. Basically, you gotta lose 2 to get out, basically. So I like how it is. You're a fan. I mean, you're a fan of high school sports. You've seen the other teams in the area as well, like Collierville, Bartlett, Germantown, Houston. Yeah.
Just name them a few. I think they're in the long run trying to get the same thing y'all are. And me personally, I've always been in favor of bigger classification, doing the same thing, best out of 3 format to advance as well. I know people, like for example, that new pitching rule they got. How do you adjust to the new pitching rule from the TSAA a couple of years ago?
I mean, baseball's always a game of adjustments. That's how it's always going to be. And so, I mean, you just got to go with it.
Talk about your coaching staff. I had a little bit of that at Briarcrest as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Coach Hopp's an amazing guy. I mean, ever since day one, he's been there for me. Then you have Coach Harrison, that's my pitching coach. That we've been able to get a pretty tight bond. I've known him my whole life. So then you have Coach Holmes, and you have some other guys that just are always there, just trying to work with you 24/7, and probably one of the best coaching staffs around here. For sure.
Have you got any sight of your schedule this year coming up?
It's still in the making, but I know I'll have game 1 against Cordova.
If anybody wants to go watch Matthew Dallas, that stood on the mound, you say at Collierville?
Yes, sir.
So at Collierville, and their new facility over at Collierville, go out and watch Briarcrest at Collierville game, probably during spring break or a little bit before spring break. So the schedule, look forward to coming out soon. Let's get a shout out to your future school, the University of Tennessee.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a crazy experience, and so glad that I'm able to be here.
So you're going to Rocky Top, about 6 to 7 hours away, depending on traffic, time change. You are going to the Alabama game this weekend, we previously talked about.
Yeah.
Just talk about the Tony Vitello message that he gives out to players like yourself or any other recruiter.
Yeah, I mean, his main thing is we're going to get you better, and you always want to be with the best of the best, and that's the place to go. And so, I mean, he works his butt off just about more than anybody can. So the big thing was knowing that they're going to treat me well, and they're going to get me to be a better ball player for sure.
I saw Tennessee play Ole Miss last year at Ole Miss. When they basically shut them out for the first 7 innings or so. Yeah. Ole Miss made a little bit of rally coming back on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And just the fan base in general, they don't mind traveling 4 to 5 hours for a baseball game or even up down the road from Memphis because Tennessee's got a strong fan base in the Shelby County area. You know, just talk about what you look forward to going to Knoxville and see your buddies, you know, and whatnot as well.
Yeah, Knoxville has a really good reputation of fans traveling. Even at any football game, you see half the stadiums orange.
LSU, for example.
Yeah, so especially this weekend, it's sold out. It's going to be crazy loud, probably louder than any game this year. So that's going to be that was a huge part of why I wanted to go there, just because that fan base is always behind you.
Yeah, fans want to basically get there early for college game day as well again.
Yeah.
So no sleep for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But anyways, what game? I know the conference schedule that just came out as well for this year, but you know this year or next year they're adding Texas and Oklahoma possibly. Just how big is that conference going to be for a lot of people?
Yeah, it's going to be big. I mean, SEC is the best conference you can go to. All best players in the nation go and play for SEC. So adding 2 more teams just makes it even harder for sure.
Do they say where you're going to be used at for like pitching wise?
No, I mean that'll get there when I get there and hopefully develop a little bit more and become an asset to the team.
And talk about a little bit about your brother, how he kind of helped you grow as a pitcher as well.
Yeah, I mean I got 2 older brothers that both helped me. The oldest one is he's a lefty pitcher like me, so we always talk about like baseball. Then Michael, me and him, we always want to be better than each other. So, I mean, we've obviously faced each other sometimes, but he's always behind my back. Even when he was my sophomore year, he was always behind me and stuff. So, they've helped me tremendously.
Guys, Mr. Dallas is on fall break this week. Let him enjoy the fall break. Mr. Dallas, thank you for coming out. Like I mentioned, you know, that's part 1 of the JS report this week. All right, guys, my second point this week, I want to give some shout-outs to some soccer teams and some volleyball teams. Last night was a great game between ECS and St. George's. St. George's was tied 1-1 with ECS after 80 minutes of regulation and then 20 minutes of overtime. St. George's plays USJ Thursday for the region championship. And guess what, guys? The game went into penalty kicks in that St. George's ECS game. And St. George's won 6-5 in that penalty kicks. Let's give some volleyball some love. Houston lost to Collierville, so Houston is at Clarksville. Collierville hosts Dixon this week. Winners go to state championship or state tournament next week. Covington Chargers over the Millington Trojans this week. So Covington would host Lexington, Millington at Dyer County. Hey, I want to give out some single A some love as well. We got Lakeland, a newer school in the Lakeland area, over East, 25-20, 25-22, 25-21. So Lakeland actually hosts Gibson County, and East travels to Ad Halls. So good luck to all the volleyball teams and the soccer teams the rest of the way this year. Guys, let's look ahead to week number 8 for a lot of teams in football. MUS at Christian Motors in that game could basically be on seedings because MUS is 2-1, Christian Motors 1-2, so it's going down to the wire for that. Blood City is at St. Benedict because St. Benedict get their second win under Joey Magnifico. St. George's at Lausanne because the Griffins basically come into Lynx hospitality and pull the shocker for a lot of people. ECS at North Point, it could be a high-scoring affair in that one. Cordova hosts Kingsbury. The reason I'm bringing that game up is because Coach Jones from Kingsbury is going back to his old stomping ground at Cordova. Covington travels to New Bern at Dyer County. Ripley at Bolton, and then the key district game in that one. And then Dyersburg plays Millington in the key district game in that one as well. Before I do the Tennessee AP poll rankings, I want to give a shout out to Mumford Cougars this week, who is still staying undefeated after that big win against Southwind. And it's showing right now because they are ranked number 2 in the state poll by the Tennessee AP poll. They were last week at number 3. 6A, Collierville and Houston are both tied for 7th. Last week, Collierville was 2, Houston was 10. 4A, we don't have nobody. 3A, we got Covington at 3. Last week, they were at 3. 1A, we still got Mace at number 3. Last week, they were number 3. 2AA, we got Lausanne at number 3. And last week, they were at number 3. So, guys, go out and if you're in town for this fall break, go out and watch some high school football in general this week, and go support the kids and go support the band as well.
Hey, Thomas Ellis Jr. here with the JS Report, and I get my honorary duties of giving you the Dynamic Physical Therapy Power 10. It's a little bit of a shake-up from last week, but before we get to that, Dynamic Physical Therapy, check them out in Millington at 8586 Highway 51, that location there, or 973 Highway 51 North in Covington for your physical therapy needs, high school, elderly, whatever it might be. Go see the people at Dynamic. And as we get to the poll this week, we're heading into week 9, week 8 for some teams, fall break. A lot of teams were off last week, gonna be off this week, but we still got to have this top 10. And that number 10 is Briarcrest at 4-4. They take on St. Benedict in their next game, hoping to prove to 5-4. But will St. Benedict be on the roll by the time they see them? We'll find out in the next couple weeks. At number 9, Christian Brothers. They take on MUS in that big showdown that's coming up this week. Millington at 4-3 is at number 8. Then the Battle of the Trojans. I'll be there this Friday against Dyersburg. And if you're coming out to the game, there's a little Trojan night, so I think everybody in the stadium will be in black and gold. Number 7, MUS, aforementioned. They're 5-2, taking on their rivals Christian Brother. Pivotal game for seeding in that Division 2AA in the private schools. So we're going to see how it shakes out. It's going to be at the Purple Waves house this time.
Get there early, fans.
Where did that voice come from? Okay, number 6, Germantown at 6-2. They have White Station coming up. They bounce back with a big win over Arlington. Number 5, after the big upset, they're still number 5. I have to explain it. At 6-2, Houston. They have Arlington in their next game. Number 4, also at 6-2, the Bartlett Panthers. They have Collierville coming up in the big showdown. It's going to determine who's going to be first. Loser that game might even drop down to 4. It's really complex in Region 8, 6A right now, but it'll all shake itself out in the end. That's why Collierville is still number 3. They only have 1 loss, and it did come to Houston, but right now they still sit a game ahead and all that kind of things because of losses in the division. Like I said, it'll all play itself out. Our number 2 team at 6-1, the Covington Chargers. They've won 6 in a row. They head up to New Bern. Like John said, they're going to take on Dyer County, a tough matchup there. They dominated Bolivar Central recently, 49-6. And at number 1, the last remaining undefeated team in our coverage area, the Mumford Cougars at 8-0. They get a little break before they have to take on Kingsbury and then close out with a tough Memphis Central. And Coach Slade Calhoun said they do want that 10-0 season, and they're going after it. After the big win, 31-20 over Southwind, they're heading on their way. So that's our Dynamic Power 10. And once again, we want to thank Matthew Dallas for coming out, talking to us, and hey, go Vols.
Oh, Rocky Flop, you always be the last team in the SEC.
Nah, come on.
Yep.
I got something else you don't got.
All right, he's got a great point, guys.